Welcome to the Bird Season Podcast. I'm your host, Frank. Here we will be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles during the season, stat, news, opinions, and more. So if you're a diehard Eagles fan, this is where you want to be right now. So let's talk about this Monday night game. I know a lot of us Eagles fans, we definitely don't want to be talking about it. But nonetheless, it's a recap episode, and I'm doing this all year round. And to be honest, it it, it took a lot from me not to, to turn off the game at all. So, as we know, in week 3, we did play against the Cowboys at their home in AT&T Stadium. The score, I think, the score says that we were closer than what we really were, and let's be realistic. None of us agree that we're lucky we even scored as many as we did. So score 41-21, Cowboys with the win by 20, sadly, nonetheless. Before we go into stats and all that good stuff, we're going to go ahead and jump in here with injury. We did end up losing Isaac Seumalo and Kayvon Wallace. Fletcher Cox did go out for a little bit with cramps. He ended up going back into the locker room, and they gave him some fluids and stuff like that, so he's fine. But Kayvon Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, he had some sort of shoulder separation, so he might be out 3 to 6 weeks. Isaac Seumalo, he ain't coming back. From what I've read, he is not coming back. I think it was a Liz Frank or something like that he had on his leg. So I think on his foot or something like that. So we're not going to see this man back. Once again, we have trouble with the offensive line, and it's not looking so good right now. Fingers crossed it gets better. So now looking into the statistics, and we're going individual at this point. And let me be honest with you, and this is my personal opinion nonetheless. Stats can say but so much. When you're watching the game, it's a whole entire different story. And this is just one of those. So we're going to go straight into stats. Rushing, Jalen Hurts had 9 attempts for 35 yards, averaged 3.9 yards. Longest was 9. Miles Sanders, and this is throughout the whole entire game, people, so don't think I'm just giving you statistics from the first quarter. Miles Sanders only had 2 attempts for 27 yards at 13.5 per carry, and the longest being 24. Kenny Gainwell, 1 for 2 yards, clearly only 2 average. And we'll look on the Cowboy side just to be compared. Ezekiel Elliott, 17 attempts for 95 yards, 5.6 average. Tony Pollard, I think that's his name, 11 attempts, 60 yards. Dak Prescott, 9 attempts, 6 yards. I didn't even know Corey Clement even played, but he had 3 attempts for 0 yards. So, yeah, CD Lamb had 1 for -1. So total in rushing, we had 64 to their 160 rushing yards. Now let's go ahead and get into the passing. Jalen Hurts had 39 attempts, completed 25 for 326 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with a rating of 86.1. Dak Prescott had 26 attempts, completed 21 for 238 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns to 0 interception and had a rating of 143.3. Receiving now, we have Jalen Reagor with 8 targets, 5 receptions, 53 yards. Zach Ertz, 7 targets, 4 receptions for 53 and a touchdown. Kenny Gainwell, 4 targets, 3 receptions for 32 yards. Devontae Smith, 6 targets, 3 receptions, 28. And I'm being honest, I don't even want to read this. Miles Sanders, 4. He had 3 receptions for 28 yards. Dallas Goedert, 2 receptions for 66 yards. There were big plays. Quez Watkins, 2 receptions for 46 yards. Boston Scott, 2 receptions for 5 yards, and Greg Ward, 1 reception for 15 with a touchdown at the end. Not even gonna look into the Cowboys side. To be honest with you, when I'm reading these stats, it's just upsetting. But we have an idea of that now. I do want to look at. Let me see if I can get these. Okay. Time of possession. Okay. So, time of possession. This is very important. If anybody knows anything about football, you want to have the ball the longest. And that's the truth. Not only the longest, but you want to make sure that you actually score when holding the ball for so long, because if the opposing team scores fast and you're holding on to the ball, killing all this time, but not scoring, then it becomes pressure on you. But we're just going to look at this time of possession. And, I'm going to go from the first to the fourth quarter and then look at the total. Okay, so in the first quarter, and this is sad, this is extremely sad. Like, this is ridiculous and unacceptable. We had the ball for only 3 minutes and 43 seconds, where Dallas had it for 11 minutes and 17 seconds. Then, in the second quarter, we had it for 5 minutes and 56 seconds, and Dallas had it for 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Right there, to be honest, we had it for roughly about 9 minutes alone, only in 2 quarters. That's less than a quarter. Third quarter, we held our own a little bit. Like, the third and fourth quarter, we did do better with time of possession. 7 minutes and 34 seconds to Dallas's 7 minutes and 26 seconds. And then in the fourth quarter, 7 minutes and 49 seconds to Dallas's 7 minutes and 11 seconds. Total. Ours, we had a time of possession in total of 25 minutes and 2 seconds compared to Dallas's 34 minutes and 54 seconds. So, I just want to make something clear. Very, very clear. Okay? This is very unacceptable. Okay? These are honestly my thoughts and my opinions. To each its own. I'm going to respect you regardless of what. But this team needs to get it together. It really does. Offense, once again, put too much on the defense's shoulder, and we can see it in the time of possession. It's ridiculous. There is no reason whatsoever where we only have the ball for 3 minutes and 43 seconds in the first quarter alone. That is ridiculous. And only 5 minutes and 56 seconds in the second quarter. Right there, those 2 quarters is where we lost the game. The third and fourth quarter, don't get me started. Yes, we had the ball for more time, but at the same time, we didn't do anything. And it goes back to what I said. You can control the clock and you can control the time, but if you are not scoring, it is worthless. It is worth nothing. You want to be able to control the clock, but at the same time score. That is the point of controlling the clock, is making sure that the opposing team doesn't have a chance of scoring, and at the same time you to score and give your defense a break. So whoever says otherwise isn't really watching the game. Like, this offense is putting way too much on our defense's shoulders. Like, one of these scores came from our defense, and everybody's gonna. I was reading articles, and a lot of people are talking about the defense didn't look good, the defense this, the defense that. Let me tell you something. When you leave your defense out in those first 2 quarters alone, for as long as you left them out, clearly they're going to be worn out. They are going to be tired. I don't care if you give them a halftime. You can give them 2 halftimes. But as much as they were out there, they're going to be tired. It is unacceptable for us to allow that to occur. The coaches have to do a better job of game planning. That pressure in the end zone with I think it was Javon Hargrave. Forgive me if I butchered that or if I forgot exactly who it was. And Fletcher Cox recovery for a touchdown shows that our defense is more than capable of being elite. Like, listen, this defense has proven it in the first 2 weeks that we are more than capable of being elite. And whoever wants to watch this game and be like, well, the defense, allowed this many points and these many yards, watch the first two. The first two. You have Jalen Hurts who throws a pick early on in the first quarter, I believe. You have him throw a pick, first or second quarter. We are not doing anything on offense, and our defense is out there, high and dry. We left the first half, 7-20. Okay, 7-20. That's 13 points. Okay, 13 points. With a second half to play. If our offense looked the way it looked in week 1, then guess what? Nobody would talk about, the points and the defense or anything like that. This defense gave it its all, and it was just tired because it was out on the field thanks to our offense not being able to do anything. And in reality, if it wasn't for that defensive pressure and the fact that we scored on defense, the score would have looked worse. We would have been looking at a 41 to 14. Okay? And that is the truth. Our offense is killing us in every way. We are inconsistent. Our game plan isn't doing much for us. We didn't even run the way we should have. For crying out loud, Miles Sanders only had 2 carries the whole entire game. Like, what the heck is all that about? Really? We should be a run-first team before passing. Jalen Hurts, with even reading his stat sheet, he's not a passing quarterback first. I don't care who you are. He's a mobile quarterback. He's going to want to run out of the pocket. That's who he is. He is not a pocket quarterback. He is not going to want to sit there in the pocket, and he's not going to give you the touch that you're asking for week in and week out. He is really inconsistent and likes to let defenders know where he's going with the ball. He underthrows a lot. For example, his first interception was terrible in every way possible. How could you underthrow a speedster in Reagor when he had at least one step on the DB? If you watch that play, honestly, if you really watch this game and you watch that play, the DB was on Reagor. He had tight coverage, but Reagor had at least one step on him. If Jalen Hurts was going to throw that ball to Reagor on a one-on-one, he had to lead Reagor. He had to throw it further into the end zone so Reagor can actually, accelerate and go get that ball. But he underthrew it. When I say underthrew it, I mean underthrew it, and it looked terrible. That is truly unacceptable, honestly, truly unacceptable. And whoever says he is still like a rookie, because if I keep hearing, oh, this is only his 7th start, blah, 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 he's still like a rookie. He didn't have last year's offseason and whatever the case may be. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that he has a new coach or anything like that. He's played a few games in the league. He knows the speed of the game, okay? He had this offseason, the truth of the matter is, rookies are meant to grow faster nowadays, especially if you're a first-round pick. He was a second-round pick, and I understand he's still learning the system, and I understand all these things, but let's be realistic. When you have a quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa who replaces you in Alabama and you have to get a transfer to, where did he go? Oklahoma, I think it was. The truth of the matter is that Nick Saban's seen something. Because clearly, if you were the better quarterback, he would have stood with you. And that's just the truth in general. In general, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts isn't a capable starter in this league, or a capable backup or a top backup in this league or anything like that, or that he can't ball. But the truth of the matter is he's not a top tier quarterback in general. Like I said, he's played against this league's defense. Like, he's played in this speed. That's the truth. 4 starts last year. I just don't get it. I think 4 starts is enough for you to get your feet wet in the league and have an idea of how it works. And I know. And to be honest, I'm not trying to be too hard on him, but when we're having trouble converting third downs, and as well as moving the ball in general, and having our defense out on the field for the majority of the game, boils down to 2 main people. And it really does. I don't care what anybody says. It boils down to 2 main people, and that's the quarterback and the play caller. Without this being fixed, honestly, we're screwed. We really are. Nick Sirianni has to get himself together. He also called a bad play. We're a run team. We're a run team first. We're a run first team. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. We're a run first team, and we barely did any running. And to be very honest, if by game 7 or 8 we don't see change in the quarterback play, we need to see some sort of change. We're going to have to see what we have in Gardner Minshew. And the reason why I say this is because if we're 7, 8 games in and we're consistently seeing inconsistencies from Jalen Hurts, like, to be honest with you, anybody can sit here and tell me, oh, but, he threw for, let's go back here. He threw for 326 yards. If you watch the game, if you honestly, he had 39 attempts, only 25 completions. That is not that much higher to 50%, to be very, very honest with you. Like, and that's the truth. I get it. Like, you can throw for 326 yards. We've seen this before. Heck, Blake Bortles can throw for 326 yards, and that doesn't mean that Blake Bortles is a star quarterback. A quarterback's job is to throw the ball. Like, that's just the truth. But just because you can throw the ball doesn't mean that you're a great quarterback. And this is one of those cases. Like, if you watch this game, you've seen Jalen Hurts either underthrow, overthrow, or have no accuracy at all. Like, not leading a receiver to the ball. And that's just the truth. We can't continue to play this way. We can't. The coach needs to also realize that the way this team is built is run first and then pass last. We can put blame on the defense, but when your offense is only out on the field for 25 minutes, 10 less than Dallas and 10 more for our defense to be out there is unacceptable. That's 10 additional minutes that you're putting your defense out, and to be honest, that's unacceptable. Like I said, this whole entire game was unacceptable. And to be honest, the last 2 games are unacceptable. We should have won that game against the 49ers. But I'm not going to go back there again. The worst part is that the numbers don't say much, which I've been saying this whole entire time, because in the first half, the defense spent mainly the whole entire time out on the field. And we already talked about this. We already looked at the numbers. The numbers of time of possession, that doesn't lie at all. We can't continue to have games like this. And no, this is not just one time. Our defense is what kept us in the Niners game as well. Like, this isn't the first time our defense keeps us in the fold of things. And I'm reading these articles and these people saying, hey, our defense really isn't that good, that our defense allowed this. You can blame a defense all you want, but when your offense isn't doing anything and they're going 3-and-out consistently, what the heck do you expect? Clearly, our defense is going to be tired. Clearly, they're going to be worn out. And if this continues to happen, we're going to see more injuries on our defense. Sad, and knock on wood, because to be honest with you, we can't continue to leave our defense out there high and dry. Running the ball can help and ensure that we can burn time and open up the play action pass, as well as help keep pressure off of the quarterback. Nick Sirianni has a lot of things he needs to do and change. I know he wants to throw the ball because he's coming from Indianapolis, and I understand having Phillip Rivers last year and even Jacoby Brissett makes sense to do that. It makes sense to throw the ball when you have those type of quarterbacks, but we have a very mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts. To make sure he succeeds here or in the league in general, we need to keep him moving. Running the ball is going to allow that to happen. So Nick, he's going to have to make some real adjustments because the last 2 weeks have shown our weaknesses for sure. Hurts loves eyeing his receivers, doesn't always read the field, or he doesn't really go through his progression and looking for open receivers. We've seen that in the past 3 weeks, regardless, even against Atlanta. The reason why Atlanta worked out is because he was doing a lot of play actions. We were running the ball. He normally hits the main or first read, even if they are covered. Example, Devontae Smith on the pick. Diggs was on him tight. Like, that was tight coverage. And to be very, very honest with you, I'm pretty sure that most quarterbacks, even with their best receivers, would actually view the field before throwing it that way because Diggs had tight coverage on him. He should have never thrown it that way. You could have dumped the pass. You could have done whatever else. He should not have thrown that ball to Devontae Smith. I don't care. Like, okay, Devontae Smith slipped. Okay, that happens in the league. But to be honest with you, Diggs was going to get it anyways. He had jumped the route. The only difference would have been he probably would have had a pick six because you would have had Devontae Smith right there. Probably would have brought him down. But the way that Dallas was playing anyways, they would have scored anyways. We can't allow this to continue to happen. We got to run the ball. We got to play action. There's a lot of things that we got to do. There's a lot of things that we got to tweak. And to be honest with you, I don't care what anybody says. I've been saying this for a very, very long time. Since last year, I said Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, and I'm not lying. I don't care what backlash I get. And hopefully, Carson Wentz does well over at the Colts so we can at least get that first-round pick. But I think that Carson Wentz is a better pocket passer in general because when you give Carson Wentz time, he can throw the ball. Jalen Hurts, we've seen him with time, and he has a tendency of coming out of the pocket regardless of it being clean, and he forces balls. And the fact that he doesn't have the touch and the consistency and accuracy that you need to play the quarterback position and being able to rely on you when the game is on the line, that is not good. Honestly, and this is just my personal opinion, to each its own. I know a lot of people are calling for Gardner Minshew. I don't think that Gardner Minshew will be the answer to the Eagles in the long term either. I feel like we're going to have to end up drafting somebody or have some sort of luck where we can sign a free agent that's going to be beneficial to us, or like a Aaron Rodgers trade or something like that. But to be honest with you, I think in week 7 or 8, if we're not winning and we're in the same state that we are and no changes have been made, throw in Gardner Minshew, see how that works out. because I don't really think there's plenty of good quarterbacks that's going to come out this year. Let him play for the team for a year or two, or just, by next year, draft somebody and let them sit behind Gardner Minshew, because regardless of what, Gardner Minshew is an accurate quarterback. He really is. He does a lot of boneheaded stuff as well, but honestly, he isn't as bad. And this is with a short list. A lot of people are going to be like, Gardner Minshew played more games, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I understand. But if we look at the first 7 games of Gardner Minshew's career, and we look at the first 7 games of Jalen Hurts, there's a huge difference. And to be honest with you, it speaks a lot about Gardner Minshew not having the team that he would have here in Philadelphia, because he has more weapons and a more rounded team here in Philly than he had in Jacksonville. So by week 7 or 8, if nothing's changed, I would definitely like to see what he can do with a legit team and a team that can win as long as we have a quarterback. And that's just my personal opinion, to each its own, like I said, but things are going to have to change. But with all that being said, thanks for tuning in to the Bird Season Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, we play against the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's go, Birds.